Okay, 1783. Good luck. That should be green there. Just gone green now. 2600 games of rapid. I've done about 200 and... what was it? 209 I've done. So we're playing a normal carrow. The pawn is the correct move here. Sometimes I take with the queen just to get out of that more standard theory a bit earlier on and to mix it up a little bit. Well, we're just going to try and develop here. Knight up, get the bishop up somewhere, get castled. Knight up and then the bishop up to one or the other of these. Depends what my opponent does now. Okay, so I'm going to bring the bishop up with a view to playing pawn up. Bishop here will just trade the bishop. That's what he's done. So I'm going to trade and still go pawn forward. Then get the bishop into play, get castled. Maybe h6 because of the annoying bishop to g5. I played bishop to g5 straight away, so we could throw h6 in with a tempo, I guess. I'll do that because I'm going to play h6 at some point anyway. Now, do I want to do a development move? Give you the option to take... I'm not sure I do. Maybe just simple bishop up. Just play bishop up and try and get castled. So he's played queen down attacking the pawn. Queen up or queen up. Queen here is logical, then knight down you can take. So I'm just going to play queen up. Knight down would blunder a piece. I'm just trying to get castled right now. So we've done that. Again, knight down I can take. Otherwise we can try and chase this queen away maybe. So he's played the other knight up. So I think it makes sense to get a tempo on the queen now and shove the pawn forward. Okay, he's gone back. So if I do this my knight, then a little bit awkward, but... no, I think I want to push forward. I want to try and push these pawns up the board. Knight in again, I'll probably just still trade and then develop the rooks or keep marching the pawns forward. Just click anywhere and it clears the markings. He has played forward, so I don't see any reason not to take that. So do I push immediately? But it creates weaknesses here, doesn't it? So where do I want these rooks to go? Maybe just queen back and then it gives me the option of bishop up. He'll probably play a move like knight down. I'm going to do it though. It double guards the knight now and it gives me the option of bishop to d6. Just to charge this bishop. We'll probably see knight there. He might go really attacking with a move like f4 queen side. So it depends what my opponent chooses to do. Oh, he has gone really attacking. Okay. So knight back might be a move to consider here, but bishop up is still a move. Might want to really go all in. So knight back, if you fly forward, I've got a check option. Knight here to hit the bishop. Then I don't have bishop d6, but that's probably more natural though. But here it helps to reinforce this, doesn't it? So I'm going to go here just to go a little bit cautious for now. f4 and I'll play bishop check, I would guess. But I've still got the option to go and charge this bishop. But I'm just trying to reinforce an early push here. Against an early push. But in principle, bishop up is likely to be my next move, but let's just see. I mean, maybe f6 might be a move. Worry about it when it's our turn now. But is my opponent going to castle and invite a move like b4? Just try and open things up. It's very risky leaving the king in the middle of the board like this. He has come forward with the knight. That might even just invite the straight knight forward here and try and trade off there, but f6 or bishop up. I wonder if I can even do f6 and e5. I don't think so though. So maybe just pawn forward now. I'm going to push a pawn while I've got the bishop on this diagonal. And just see what you're going to do with this king. Probably still going to go king side, I would think. Just depends how bold white wants to be. Yeah, it does go forward. So now I think f6 does actually make a lot of sense here. It weakens this pawn. But I'm going to play it. Get a tempo here and try and take here. It weakens this pawn permanently, of course, but bishop up is still likely to be a move. f5 might even be a move, and if you push, I'll just counter push here as well, but risk my knight might get boxed out of the game. It's gone back. So bishop here gets tempo on the pawn, but I think I should take here first, then bishop to d6. Now, a sack, I think I'm alright. Queen check, I go here. So here, if you take, and we take, queen check across, and it feels like I'm perfectly safe. So I'm going to try and get that bishop off the board now before it causes real damage. And then if you drop back this way, I think I can push forward and start a counter attack. But I'll pre-move in case white takes. It does indeed drop back, so we can take. And the pawn goes here. And can we just immediately push? I can do queen up here and force white to kind of take here, but I'm not sure which is the best or the worst pawn structure there. Yeah, I'm not sure. Ooh, there might be a nice tactic, but I need a few moves. Rook here, pawn here would threaten rook takes. Here, if you take, I take. If something takes, you get pinned. Take here. Down, take. Everything's getting a bit loose. Rook across feels a bit slow. Queen up is a little bit more forcing. I'm going to just play queen up. You could move the knight out the way. You could guard the bishop. You could potentially drop the bishop back. But I'll pre-move again in case it takes. And it's the same position it would have been in the move before. But yeah, g5 is a big threat here. If we take and you take, I can't just push the pawn on without losing it. So g5 I might have to counter with f5. If you take, then go g6. Could be a bit dangerous this, but it is what it is. But now I am threatening, if he does nothing, I'm threatening to take, and then take with a check. Okay, the knight has gone back. Well, I'm quite happy to take now. Goes with a queen, so offers the queen trade. So I'm going to play rook across and threaten to take a pawn. And equally, if white trades, I can quickly double my rooks up. If the queen comes off, then the kingside attack is a lot, obviously, less dangerous. Doesn't mean it's not dangerous, but a lot less dangerous. Okay, we have traded. So now, can I start pushing in the middle? Do we go here? This looks strong. Knight back is very passive. I'm going to go here with a view to rook up and threaten to capture, assuming the knight goes back. I guess it invites the king across. I need my knight into play. How do I do that? Here, king up, across. Here. The threat is to simply take. The king can step up and guard. What about rook across here? I think you're in time to defend. So what about just a straight rook across now? With a view to coming forward. Does it matter which rook I move? I'm not sure it does. I'm going to move the light squared one and keep one on the back rank. I'm going to try and get forward here. So if the king steps up, I've got a rook check. Okay, you can still block, but then I can just double up, I think. What if I'd go here first? The knight moves, check here. I need this knight into play. How do we do that? I'm going to bring my king up. I'm going to try and work on the centre and activate this knight somehow. Not sure where it's going to go yet. That doesn't feel good. F6 feels like a better square. But I don't quite see how we're going to achieve that just yet. E5 takes, feels okay, but it's a target. You can imagine the rook's being centralised, and then the pawn's flying forward. But it's still a centre ground. And it's an extra piece to attack with instead of being left in the corner here. So yeah, maybe E5 and then bring the king behind. Okay, he's trying to challenge that centre there to stop pawn going forward. Takes king up. Might still be playable for me, but the knight is still not quite into play. So here, rook up is the obvious move. So what about rook up and coming across? How do you deal with that? I guess you go here. And I don't really have a great deal. So what about f5 now? But I don't like f5, I don't think. No, f5 I don't like. I'm going to push in the middle anyway. I've got to try and get this knight into play. So I'm going to push in the middle and try and get the king behind the pawn, and then maybe get onto this file if it opens up. So I'll pre-move to take back if either pawn takes. We've got a minute up on the clock now to try and use some time. Well, my opponent's just disconnected there. I didn't actually see if my opponent had a good connection up, but they've just disconnected from the game. It says they're disconnected from sight as well, because the profile is also off. You have to wait over a minute now to claim a victory though, so... let's hope this is legit. I've just reconnected. Oh, it does say poor internet there. Just sometimes you never know if somebody's disconnecting to turn an engine on or off or something. You just never know. But it does say there's a... yeah, they just moved quickly there, but the internet connection says poor connection there. That's unfortunate. But now the idea will be to try and switch to this file. Yeah, the rook has moved, so now does that blunder a pawn here? It feels like my opponent's players just changed there, so I hope it's legit, but we'll find out as the game goes on. But I think I can just go here and grab a pawn. You can't block with the rook now, so I'm just going to check and try and grab a pawn. And still try and get this knight into play. Oh, it's disconnected again. Just disconnected again, but it was stable up to this point, wasn't it? Ah, they connected on the site that time without being on the game, but it could be the internet. I assume I take the pawn here. It's only level material, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4 pawns. 1, 2, 3, 4 pawns. I've just sacked a pawn to try and open the centre up. So white's kept the centre pawn. I've got one. So I need my rook on a better square now. I'm not sure if coming right across might be good. But this knight is still very, very stuck. So we're going to have to get the knight into play without letting white infiltrate down here. But I guess knight f8, knight d7 makes sense as check threats. Not easy to guard this pawn. Ah, now the internet connection's gone up for my opponent. Okay. So rook across might be a move, just simply to threaten this pawn. I don't see how you actually defend that now. If you push, we take, you take, the knight takes. That feels okay. But equally, bringing the knight round in 2 steps feels logical. Well, I like the idea of rook across, I think, here. Just pressure the pawn, keep it simple. If pushes, I could even counter push, but I'll probably take, grab a pawn with the knight, and trust I'm not blundering the position somehow. Okay, rook up. So that's just a pawn. I don't see any reason not to take it, so I'm going to take the pawn. Goes after my pawn, so rook up I think makes perfectly good sense here. I don't see anything better. And now I want to get this knight still into play somewhere around the angles, as long as I'm keeping my king safe. There's another pawn here potentially, but I'd rather activate the knight first than try and grab the pawn. It might activate white's rooks. The knight can probably start jumping in, that's what you've done there. So knight round, knight here, knight round. That feels good to me, so I'm going to activate my knight at long last. Okay, now we're threatening to take and get a knight off at the same time. So we can do that. We can also pin the knight, but I don't think there's any need to. I think just take there and get the knight off the board. And now we're 2 clean pawns up. We can drop back behind our pawn here. We're threatening another pawn. We're threatening a check to collect this one as well. So everything should be winning here. So here, if you take, check. Say the king moves and we take. If you take here, I still take back and I've got all 3 pawns. And the king can't take the rook, so it would be a legal move. So I think we're fine to take and check. I've also got the option to simply trade the rooks and step up. But I think check and collect is just cleaner. So we just take and drop back. Okay, opponent's nearly out of time now. Yeah, that internet connection has gone down again. Oh, that's just hung the rook. Well, hangs the rook, but check. Both of my rooks would actually be hanging there. So I can take a rook temporarily, but you've got check to win it back. I can throw a check in. I think I'm just going to play pawn forward. No need to do anything silly. Opponent's out of time, so no need to be silly here. It's the same thing here. I can take and you take a pawn back with check. I'm just going to step forward there. You can actually take a pawn, then I'll trade. I could have taken the pawn first. Actually, let's go forward. Okay, that's the rook. And with it the game, that's a good win.